This video is about making sure that compliance doesn't end up as bureaucracy or remain stuck there. Why is compliance so often perceived as bureaucracy? It's because there are often rules that employees have never heard of or can't really imagine what they mean. It's often extra work to say, okay, we've always done things this way, but maybe it's never been documented anywhere, or perhaps there's a new element that's now been added by law. And sometimes it takes a bit of persuasion to convince the relevant department to invest some time in this. With compliance, the goal is to establish a certain standard within the company. This means you can be sure that everything always follows the same process and that these processes are defined from the outset in such a way that they comply with legal requirements. This creates trust not only among your own employees, but also with external companies, customers, and potentially investors. It also allows you to demonstrate that you are aware of the risks that may exist within your company, which laws apply to you, and how you have implemented them accordingly. So how can I create tangible added value with compliance? On the one hand, I can make decisions more quickly. That means if I know what can happen in my company and I already have an appropriate process for it, I simply know exactly how I should behave in each situation. It can also serve as a reference guide. That means, for example, if I have emergency plans already filled out for specific scenarios, then I can also know, okay, if this or that happens, I can act accordingly. One can also argue that fewer mistakes occur. That means I have these defined processes, and fewer mistakes ultimately also mean greater cost savings. That means I don't have to intervene only when something has gone wrong, but instead have a clean process from the outset. In general, I have a stronger company structure. For example, if I can say that my processes are transparent and also comprehensible for all employees, then company management is not perceived as a kind of black box where, as an employee, I have no insight into why certain decisions are made. Instead, with well-implemented compliance, I can achieve this together with all employees as a company. And as a fourth point, the competitive advantage. That means in more and more contract awards or tenders, proof of implemented compliance is an important component. What are some good and bad examples of implementing compliance? A bad example is, for instance, when I have a set of rules with maybe 40 pages or more, where I basically don't specify who is the contact person for which subtopic in compliance. The consequence is that employees, when they're supposed to read it, are initially overwhelmed by the sheer volume, the structure, and in the end, they don't even know what it actually means for them as individual employees. Effective compliance, on the other hand, provides clear do's and don'ts. That means what should I do and what shouldn't I do? A good summary, maybe on 1 or 2 pages. What is relevant for each individual employee in their specific department? So basically, you could say a general page for all employees. If you have additional compliance requirements in this or that area, then there might be a second page for that, which says, okay, for these employees, this might also be relevant, or these contacts, or something like that. So there are clear responsibilities, clear processes, and everything is really boiled down to the essentials. What is actually relevant now? Compliance becomes an obstacle when rules do not reflect reality. That means if the rules were simply defined based on draft legislation, but no one looked at how to actually implement them within the company, who is actually affected by this? What does this mean for processes that may have existed in the company for years? So that you can basically make the adjustment and say, okay, I can weave this legal requirement in exactly at this point. Then for the employee, it's essentially no extra effort, but simply becomes part of everyday practice. Transparency is also a very important point. That means only when employees know why they are supposed to do something, the acceptance of this new process is much greater. That means always informing all employees who are affected by a process change about why this is important. What was the reason for the change? Perhaps even one driven by legal requirements. And what exactly does the new process look like now? How exactly does it need to be done now? Successful companies in compliance implementation therefore always look at what is the perspective of the users. That means not just looking at things from the top down, from company management, but also considering things from the perspective of employees' day-to-day work. Okay, how can I best integrate this into my daily work routine? And of course, another important point is to offer training sessions. This means that if employees explicitly ask for it, or for those mandatory trainings, for example, on the code of conduct if I have one, that these are offered to employees in a simple format and focused on the essentials. That means not presenting the entire regulation, how it came about and all the background, but really focusing on what is important right now. Brief and to the point, a few bullet points are fine too, so that it's tangible and applicable. For more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Thank you very much.